Mornings on 2 is hitting the road for a zip trip to Livermore.
It's one of the best places, and it's a community place.
We're taking you to some of the city's favorite eateries and famous wineries. Plus, we'll introduce you to the Livermore man who formed a lifelong friendship with the firefighter who saved his life.
It was emotional and unforgettable.
And we're playing Zip Trip Trivia with those who know.
When I moved here, there were 7.
And those who don't.
It's pretty easy.
Sorry, I'm terrible. You don't have to put that on.
Okay. Well, you're 0 for 3, but we appreciate it.
As Mornings on 2 takes you on a zip trip to Livermore. It is the gateway to the Central Valley, a wine region that has been around for about 150 years, one of the hottest spots you could say to be in the summer months, and apparently a pretty hot spot to live. We're talking about 90,000 strong right here in the city of Livermore, and plenty of live music to go around. We have Crawdad Republic bringing us in on this Friday morning. A good mix of instruments in this band, including one of my favorites, and that is the classic banjo. With that, welcome to the 9, live from downtown Livermore, everybody, alongside Gassia Mikaelian. I'm Mike Meback. It is great to take the show on the road this Friday morning, especially to a place, Gassia, where you once called home.
You know, it feels like home because it is home. I am so lucky to have grown up right here in gorgeous Livermore, California. Cheers for the band and for my hometown. When I grew up here 100 years ago, Mike, we used to call it affectionately a cow town, and it is no longer that. Livermore has grown and changed, and even though I recognize so much from the place I grew up, there are so many new things that are drawing people, not just from the Bay Area, but from around the country and the world, right here to gorgeous and warm Livermore, California.
I tell you what, we packed our bags up and we came out here. We brought a few co-workers of ours.
Right.
Our co-anchor, Sal Castaneda, is out and about. Frank Malicote is also out and about at the rodeo, and KTVU's Claudine Wong is here. Now, they've been out here for 1 or 2 weeks now,
right,
talking to people, talking to businesses, gathering stories. So we're going to touch base with them probably once, if not twice, throughout the next hour. I'm very curious about Malicote. You never know what he's going to do.
Right.
And the rodeo is in town.
Oh.
So bull riding and Malicote could be a possibility sometime this hour.
Absolutely. I know a lot of people make a point of coming out to the big rodeo parade, which is tomorrow, Saturday morning. So downtown Livermore is going to be all lit up for the Livermore Rodeo, 100 plus years strong. A lot of people think they know Livermore. They say, oh, Livermore wineries, Livermore Rodeo.
Sure, right.
There is so much more to Livermore than just that. So let's take a peek at why so many people love Livermore. Sitting on the easternmost edge of Alameda County, Livermore is home to some of California's oldest vineyards, 2 world-renowned national laboratories, and the longest burning light bulb in history. The city was founded in 1869 by William Mendenhall, who named it after Robert Livermore, a rancher who settled in the area in the 1830s. Since then, Livermore has transformed from a vast farmland into a largely suburban area, with a population of more than 91,000 people, according to the latest numbers from state officials. Still, Livermore is holding on to its long-standing tradition of ranching. The annual Livermore Rodeo is now in its 101st year. Livermore is also known for its warm, dry summers. The average high temperature in July is 89 degrees, and just a couple of years ago, the temperature reached 107. That Mediterranean climate makes it the perfect location for growing grapes, and today you can find dozens of wineries spread across the valley, as well as wine bars in the downtown area, where the city's been working on a revitalization plan, which includes new restaurants, shops, housing, even a new hotel slated for construction beginning in 2020. Downtown Livermore has grown, and Livermore itself has grown exponentially, Mike. Growing up here in the early 80s, we had something like 55,000 people.
Right.
Now Livermore is 90,000 plus strong, so it's good to see.
And I tell you what, behind the scenes here, we have probably a couple of hundred people who have gathered around our cameras to come celebrate this hour, celebrate us taking the 9 on the road, and it's great to see everyone, all these residents of Livermore coming out today to be with us for this hour. Our 9 o'clock co-anchor, Sal Castaneda, as I mentioned, is here in town, and he's actually at one of the well-known wineries here in Livermore. Hey, Sal.
Hey, Mike and Gassia, we're at Wente Vineyards, and just in case you've never actually thought about how to pronounce it, you see it W-E-N-T-E. It's Wente, like in venti coffee. I got that from the CEO herself, who's going to be joining us a little later on, to taste some wine and talk about this beautiful facility they have here on Arroyo Road. Now, Wente has 2 facilities. This is the tasting room. We're also going to talk about some of the food that you can find in Livermore. I went to 2, I would say, almost iconic places that everyone in Livermore seems to know. I tasted some of the food. And we're also just going to talk about, what the mood is at these establishments and how people in Livermore are eating very well, and I tried that too. So it's going to be fun, and we're going to show you some of this beautiful campus they have here at Wente. That's coming up a little later on. So Gassia and Mike, we have a little bit more coming out here from beautiful Wente.
I love it. Very good, Sal. We'll check in
Thanks,
with you in just a few. I think I went to school with one of the Wentes 100 million years ago.
Stop it.
It's one of those names.
Like 10 years ago,
Well,
Gassia.
no, thank you. I knew I liked you. Wente is one of those names that was certainly known here in Livermore, but now over the years it's become known nationwide and worldwide. There are so many little hidden gems here in Livermore that many people don't know about. And even those of us who've spent our entire lives here maybe don't know everything there is to know about this town. So for that, let's go ahead and talk a little bit of Livermore trivia. And our Frank Malacote is at the rodeo grounds, and he took some Livermore questions out on the road to see what you know.
All right, good morning, guys. I'm here in the rodeo pit, getting ready to rock and roll here. Livermore, as you mentioned, has been around for a long time, 150 years. A lot of culture here, a rich history from the wineries to the Spanish influence. And oh yeah, this is a cowboy town as well. The rodeo kicking off today. Well, more on that coming up shortly. But first, I did take to the streets here in Livermore to find out what Livermoreans really know about their town. 96,000 acres of wine grapes grow in the Livermore Valley. Within plus or minus 5, how many wineries are in the Livermore Valley?
It's increased a lot. I'm going to say 62.
Oh, gosh. 320?
Wow.
70.
Oh, wow. Must be 50.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah?
You got it.
All
right. On the
right.
nose.
You're kidding me.
No.
That's crazy.
Wow, when I moved here, there were 7.
Yeah.
Well, times have changed.
Well, I haven't gotten to all of them.
The Lawrence Livermore Lab has the distinction of creating our planet's 116th atomic element. Can you name it?
Is it Carnegie?
Livermorium.
What was that?
Livermorium?
Oh, I didn't even have to ask the question. How'd you know that?
Well,
Because I thought it was cool.
I can picture it now, yeah, Livermorian.
It's cool.
Do you know what it does?
No clue.
Neither do I. Take Livermore and add auditorium to it. What do you get?
Livermorium?
Oh, very good.
Is that right?
That was right.
Finally.
He's one of baseball's tallest players, Hall of Famer, won over 300 games, and he was raised at Livermore and went to Livermore High. Who is he?
Not Raleigh Fingers.
No.
I don't know.
Oh, boy.
I know he's a baseball player, Randy.
Randy? Starts with a J.
God.
O-H-N.
Johnson.
Very good.
Yeah, Randy Johnson.
Oh, yes, he went with my son.
Oh, come on.
Jackson.
Close.
Jefferson.
Close.
Adams.
Why another J? How about Johnson?
Johnson.
You had the president right.
All right.
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson, yes.
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson.
But Mark Davis went here too and won a Cy Young as well. So earlier than Randy Johnson. So you can look that one up.
The Centennial Light's been burning 100+ years at a fire station here in Livermore. It's never officially gone out. What year did it start to burn?
1899?
Close.
Oh.
Close.
Well, I've seen it. Does that count?
No.
I don't know, 1896.
19.
Good. Oh, good.
1.
Yes!
1907.
Close. 1901. Wasn't this fun?
Yes. 0 for 5. Woo! Do I win for not getting any?
No. Well-known news anchor. You probably know her. She grew up here. What's her name? It's not Sal.
Not Sal. I've been watching Sal for years. Gassia Michaelian, I know.
Oh, you could say her name.
Oh, yeah, sure. She went to Granada. I went to Livermore.
Okay.
Sue Ellen's time is
All right, Gassia, they know you well here. I'm proud to say I talked to a dozen people. 11 out of the 12 say we are proud of Gassia. We know she is a Granada High grad and grew up right here in Livermore. As for Mike Meback, not so much. I'm kidding.
Nah. We are 50
I'm kidding,
miles
Mike.
East of where I went to high school.
Right. All right, we'll catch up with you in just a few. We're going to hear more about the Livermore Rodeo, which is coming up this weekend. The big rodeo parade is tomorrow. I have to say, I'm just about to start sweating here. We're in the bright sun. We're at the downtown fountain, Lizzie Fountain in Livermore. And we hear the tunes behind us. And we have a big guest coming up in a minute, Mike.
That's right. Still to come here on the 9. He is the leader of the city. He is a man who is respected by many who live here in Livermore. We're talking about Mayor John Marchand, a man who has a vision for this city. We'll be talking to him live next. As Mornings on 2, the 9, live from downtown Livermore, is back after the break.
Bright sunshine, and Crawdad Republic is waking up Livermore, and so much more on this gorgeous Friday. We've taken the 9 on the road. It's our very first zip trip. It is here in Livermore, California, and we have a definite VIP right next to us, Mike.
That's right, the mayor of the city, John Marchand. Welcome, John. Thanks for taking the time here.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming to Livermore.
What do you think of the band?
They're awesome. Crawdad Republic is great, and we're right here in our award-winning downtown. This is the great morning.
They're not going to turn the water on us, are they?
No.
Okay, good.
I already checked Public Works.
Okay,
we
good.
shut off the timer. Yeah,
Good.
That could be really exciting.
Because, you come in here any evening, June, July, August, September. This place is shooting water, and there's little kids and even big kids.
This is where the children play. It's a wonderful part. It's about quality of life here.
This downtown area, Mike and I have talked about this, has transformed, largely in the years that it's been under your leadership. Tell us about the change.
It really has been. It's been a remarkable change over the last decade or so. Yeah. We originally had gravel trucks rumbling down the downtown First Street. Every 2 minutes there's a gravel truck. So it's hard to have sidewalk cafes when you have gravel trucks. We moved the highway off of the downtown. It now goes around the city. So it's really transformed this remarkable community. We've got public art down here. It's a gathering place. This really is where the community comes together. It's our award-winning downtown.
That's right now, Mayor, but what about the future? What's the plans for the future for the downtown area?
Well, more great things. Yeah. So we're doing our ribbon cutting on our Emergency Operations Center next month. Right behind us is going to be Stockman Park. You may know that Livermore was founded by a Stockman. It was founded by William Mendenhall, and he named it after his good friend Robert Livermore, who was also a Stockman. So right behind us is going to be Stockman Park to celebrate the contributions of the Stockman in Livermore. This is the 100th anniversary of the Livermore Stockman's Rodeo Association, the 100th running of the rodeo. But we're also going to have Veterans Way is going to be completed this summer, and that's going to commemorate the contributions of our veterans as well. So you're going out to the
rodeo. Do you have a favorite event then when you go out there?
You know,
steer wrestling? Is it the bull riding?
It's just a great event. I mean, everybody coming together. It's celebrating the heritage of the city of Livermore. Right. But we're working on bringing in a new hotel into downtown, something that we've wanted to bring in for decades.
I have to ask you, Mayor, since you brought up the hotel, there has been more than a little bit of controversy over bringing the hotel to Livermore. There are a lot of people who grew up in this town who are seeing a lot of changes, and they don't like all of them. Tell me about the fight to preserve Livermore's small town heritage and feel while really having to make some concessions to the modern world that we're living in.
Well, if you don't grow, you're going to die as a community. And so there's a very small group of people, and some of these people I've had actually complain to me that they don't like the fact that there are so many young people in the downtown. Seriously. One of these days you're going to have to let the young people inherit this community, and I want to make sure that they inherit the best community that they possibly can.
How do you ensure that Livermore doesn't grow out of control? If we ever could see that day.
We have very careful planning. We actually have a top end on how large Livermore can grow, and if Valley Link comes in, again, there's a limit to how we're not going to grow beyond our resources, but we're going to keep it an amazing community. Yeah. As you said, there's a little bit of controversy about the hotel.
Right.
Some people don't want to have to cross the street to go to the Bankhead Theater, and it's like, well, but We did a tremendous public outreach program. We had 9 months of public outreach.
It was the talk of this town, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, how many family dinners?
9 months of public outreach, and almost unanimously, people agreed that the hotel had to have an iconic presence on South Livermore Avenue. And that's where we're going to put it.
One thing I'm curious, Mayor, is because obviously it's very expensive to live here in the Bay Area, no matter what city you're in. But with that, property tax has gone up. You guys have a surplus. Do you like to spend that money, or are you more of like, hey, let's tuck it away?
In the words of my city manager, there is no extra money.
Right.
You've got, we have, believe it or not, there's $2.5 billion worth of assets in Livermore. And our budget is about $118 million a year. Yeah. Do the math. If you got to do a replacement of all those assets, and you got $2.5 billion in assets, and you still need to operate in police and fire, because our #1 priority is public safety in this community. So you have to be very careful about the allocation of those resources. There is no extra money.
Hey, I hear if you're not going to be mayor, you know a little bit about acting.
Right.
You like to dabble in that, right?
I've had a lot of fun with it. And politics is just low theater.
Right, exactly. Mayor, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hosting us this morning for the 9 here.
Thanks for coming to Livermore.
Absolutely. We love Livermore. We're about a stone's throw from some wine bars, some good barbecue, some pizza. There is so much to savor about Livermore, California. We will have the taste of our town coming up in just a few as Crawdad Republic plays us out. We'll be right back.
So I anchor to the mountain till I find that heart of gold. It's got to be.
And welcome back to the 9 from downtown Livermore. Garcia, you and I started back in March of 2005 here at KTVU, just about a week apart. And I quickly learned a lesson. Even though I grew up here, you think you know a lot, but I didn't. What I was talking about was Sonoma and Napa during the harvest season.
Right.
And I got a phone call from a viewer that said, hey, don't forget about us out here in Livermore Valley. We also have vineyards, and I also got calls from the Santa Cruz Mountains as well. And that was a lesson because I didn't know that, at the time. I didn't know they had so many wineries out here.
Right.
KTVU Sal Castaneda knows a little bit of something about it. He's been tasked with getting a little bit of a taste of the town, not just the wine, Sal, but some food out there as well.
That's right, Mike and Garcia. Obviously there's a very famous wine scene here, and I didn't know until, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago when I came out for the first time. So it's grown a lot since then. So people here in Livermore are eating and drinking well. But another thing is we have a lot of restaurants here in Livermore. As a matter of fact, there are too many of them for me to try, but I got a sense from the locals which ones I should go to. So we decided on 2, and this is what I found when I went out to get a taste of the town. We started at Livermore's First Street Ale House, a family-owned restaurant right in the heart of the downtown area. Craft beer is on full display here with 28 beers on tap, a selection for everyone from IPAs to lagers. First Street Ale House has been open since 2000 and has become a popular gathering place for the locals, young and old. Whether you come alone and sit at the bar, or come with family and friends and grab a big table. It's the kind of place where you will probably see someone you know if you live in town. And as for the menu, it offers a lot more than just bar food, and that food keeps bringing people back.
Oh, we come here all the time. We're here every other week.
I'm a burger guy. Did it make a good burger here?
Oh, yes. Fantastic. It's probably one of the better ones.
So about that burger, she was right. If you come here and you like burgers, you should get this. And the menu even has a keto offering, giving a nod to the ultra-popular new eating craze. Across town, we also visited another local favorite, Posada Restaurant.
I will have the tamale, please.
With a southwestern menu, the restaurant has earned rave reviews from the locals and is run by a husband and wife team.
When we opened 5 years ago, I thought, I didn't know if Livermore was going to be ready for his type of food, his type of cooking. It's very different. It's delicious.
Posada is open for lunch and dinner. The most popular lunch item is the blackened mahi-mahi tacos with watermelon salad. That is dressed with a touch of habanero vinaigrette.
The watermelon, again, was to balance the heat that you have in the blackened fish and the refreshness in your palate with the watermelon. It's just so fantastic. So a great compliment.
I tried it myself and found it so delicious.
I'm just getting the texture of it.
For dinner, Chef Eduardo presented his most popular item, The dry-aged Duroc porterhouse pork chop served with traditional rice pudding on a bed of tomatillo cilantro sauce.
I think they have a lovely menu with unique combination of flavors, and the food always tastes light and fresh, and wonderful, drink options as well.
The restaurant has an extensive list of Livermore Valley wines and also has its own signature drink, a sangrita, which is basically a wine margarita which outsells all other drinks at the eatery.
Oh, that is really good.
Right?
Well, one of the things that you always get at a restaurant in Livermore, for the most part, is they're very proud of the wineries here. It's Wente, but there's also so many other wineries in town, so you can get local wines almost everywhere you go. And speaking of local wines, we are going to talk to the CEO of Wente coming up in a little bit, and we're going to try some recommendations from her, and that's coming up in just a bit. So if you like wines, you should stick with us.
Hey, they got a great Pinot, and I know they got a great Rosé. I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Right, somewhere.
All right, Sal, we'll talk to you in just a bit. Thank you.
You know what tickles me is when I hear people from all over the Bay Area say, hey, I was in Livermore this weekend. I was wine tasting. Look, 20, 30, 40 years ago, people weren't saying that,
right.
But right now, I love it. Everyone is more than welcome. And it's not just the wine. There's a lot of really good music. You've been hearing the tunes of Crawdad Republic. They play a number of wineries. They're here at the Downtown Fountain playing for us this morning, and Claudine Wong is standing by to talk with some of the members of Crawdad Republic. Hey, Claudine.
Yeah. How amazing is this band? So fun to listen to. Crawdad Republic, I mean, it's a group of friends that have been together for a long, long time. We've got Dave Haberman and John Williams with us. Thank you so much. I mean, it's been amazing to listen to you play. How great is it to play in front of this hometown crowd?
Oh man, this community has been so supportive of us coming up as kids with arts, giving us opportunities to play, and we love representing this town.
Introduce us to your band,
Sure.
because it's an amazing group here.
Yeah, this is Johnny Williams. Yeah, he's on guitar. We have Brandon Olivo on the banjo. We have Adam Elliott, who's a local firefighter, on the drums over there. We got Dusty Boyle on the stand-up bass. And we got, what's your name again? We got Doug Allen on the keys.
So tell me about you guys, though. You guys are teachers. You mentioned a firefighter. I mean, this is not all your day jobs.
Yeah,
right?
I teach 8th grade, and he teaches 4th grade. We got a labbie over here. We've got somebody who has their own production studio. So we're members of the community. We work and live in this community, and we have the pleasure to play here.
High school friends, most of you guys have been playing for a long time. All but one of you guys are from Livermore. There's some Castro Valley guy mixed in there, right? We're not talking about him. Tell me about your sound and your music and what your songs say.
Yeah, sure. We're all about original art, and we're just so humbled to be from Livermore. There's a beautiful music culture, and there's a beautiful community here. We're just trying to make songs from the heart and give back to the community. This isn't our day job. It's sort of our vehicle to give back and promote good things in Livermore.
Pretty awesome vehicle. Tell me about Windows Down.
Windows Down is a song about self-care. We all need to get it, so that's what the tune's about.
Okay.
Getting out and taking care of yourself.
You're going to play that in a second, but tell me about these 2 fundraisers you guys have coming up.
So we have one coming up on September 7th called Community for Education. It's going to be at Darcy Kent Vineyards. It is a fundraiser that is meant to put instruments back in kids' hands through the school district. There's going to be all original bands, all local fare. It's going to be really good. So food, drinks, everything is going to be locally sourced.
Okay.
Yeah. Darcy Kent Vineyards, September 7th. Love Livermore Live. And it's a fundraiser to put instruments in the hands of the Livermore youth.
Okay, you guys have a great crowd here. They've been told us that they're your groupies, so we love it. We love it. We're going to let you play. We're going to go to Frank at the rodeo coming up next, but Crawdad Republic, go ahead and play Windows Down as you play us to break. We can't wait to hear this song, okay? Are they ready to go? And they're ready to go.
Something about the windows down. It's a good drunk ride. Let our lashes paint world miles from the sunlight. Watch the sun sink down and serenade the
Welcome back to the 9 live from downtown Livermore. Crawdad Republic continues to just please the crowd here in the downtown area. Nothing like live music. I think it's in my soul. I love that banjo. I keep talking about it, but my first concert in the Bay Area was at the Warfield in San Francisco, and it was Jerry Garcia and David Grisman, both on the banjo. So ever since I was in 8th grade, I feel like the banjo's just in my blood.
Yeah.
So they're phenomenal. They're great. If you get a chance to see them, get out there and see them.
I love it. They play wineries all over Livermore and so much more. We have so many people gathered here at the downtown fountain in the heart of gorgeous Livermore, California. And we're so thankful that you're with us as we take our first zip trip. We're going to be going to communities all over the Bay Area. Today we're focusing on Livermore. A lot of people grew up here, think they know Livermore, but what many people don't know is that Livermore is about a lot of traditions. And one of those is the Livermore Rodeo. I know people come out here for the wineries, come out here to dine on First Street, but a lot of people don't come to the rodeo unless they grow up here. I know you have been to a rodeo, but not this one. Am I right?
Yeah, my first job, I was a photographer working in Topeka, Kansas. You know, I'd never been to Kansas, obviously, and there was this big thing called a rodeo that one of my friends took me to, and so I went. Right. Next thing I know, I see a human being jumping off a horse and trying to wrestle a steer.
Yes.
And I was, in a way, kind of hooked.
Absolutely.
I like that. I don't think I'll do it, but I like it.
I would like to watch that.
Fun.
If you would like to watch that, you have your chance because this weekend is the 101st Livermore Rodeo. Family night was last night. The big rodeo parade is tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock through downtown Livermore. Our Frank Malacote is at the rodeo grounds at Robertson Park in Livermore, and you're standing by with a bit of rodeo royalty, Frank.
That I am. Yeah, the rodeo's turning 101 years old today. Kicks off tonight officially at 5 o'clock. Gates open at 7 o'clock. The Extreme Bulls will be running. And, you know, no rodeo's complete unless you have a rodeo queen, and I've got one right here. She is Morgan Laughlin. She is Miss Livermore Rodeo Queen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, tell us, what does that curtail? What are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, I'm promoting. I'm going to be here all weekend, carrying sponsor flags, talking to the crowd, doing everything that I can do to help out.
All right, and rodeo is nothing new to you. You come from kind of a cowboy family, 6th generation Livermorean, right?
Yes, 6 generations here in Livermore.
And you learned how to ride horses at a very young age, didn't you?
I learned how to ride when I was 10 years old.
10 years old. And you do some of this stuff as well. You
I do.
Barrel racing? And,
I barrel race. I high school rodeoed for 4 years. I did the reining cow horse and the barrel racing, and God willing, I'll be able to college rodeo one day.
There is college rodeo out there.
Yes, it's a big deal.
What is it about being a part of the rodeo and participating? Why do you love it so much?
Well, once you start, you just get hooked. There's a sort of romance to it that you just can't give up.
I know. You have me with the Zach Brown band, Little Chicken Fry. People, you just get in the mood here, don't you?
Oh, most definitely.
And what can people expect tonight with the Extreme Bulls?
A lot of excitement. This is the first year that we've had it. It's all bull riding. It's the best bucking stock, the best cowboys, and we'll have some fun entertainment for them as well.
All right. And your sister was also a queen as well, right?
Yes. In 2015, my older sister was the Livermore Rodeo Queen.
Okay, now your name is Morgan, but that's not a name after a horse, right?
No.
No. We won't go where that came from.
No.
And you lost your voice a little bit. You got a lot of talking to do this weekend.
They keep me busy around here, so a lot of talking.
And would you rather wear a tiara or a cowboy hat?
Oh, most definitely a cowboy hat, a sharp-shaped one for sure.
All right, all right. Well, hey, real nice chat with you, and all the best tonight.
Thank you very
Morgan?
much. It was nice
to meet you as well. She is Morgan Laughlin. She is the queen of the rodeo all weekend long, and I highly recommend coming down. You feel a vibe down here. All of a sudden, you're on 680, you make a couple of turns, and you think you're in Texas. It is Cowboy Town here, and come join it tonight. Gates open at 5, and at 7 o'clock, the Extreme Bulls, and I've seen a few of them. They look angry. Back to you guys.
Very good, and we cannot forget the big rodeo parade tomorrow morning. We come every year. We stop at the donut wheel, get our treats, and then find a great spot. And I love to cheer for my old school bands, and I also love to wave back at the rodeo queen. So
hey, rodeo on one side, you got wineries on the other, so plenty to choose from. Let's go back to Sal Castaneda right now. He's over at Wente. Hey, Sal.
Good morning, Mike, and everyone there. You know, one of the things about coming to Livermore is the first time I came to Wente, I was just amazed by their beautiful property here. We're on the Arroyo Road property. They have two, but this happens to be my favorite. And nice enough to join us this morning is the CEO of Wente Vineyards, Carolyn Wente.
That's right.
fourth generation, and so excited to have the fifth generation of Winties in and managing the company as well.
When it comes to the Livermore Valley and this property, the Winties have a great history in this town.
We really do. My great-grandfather came here in 1883, and today we have 4 of the fifth generation family members in the business. One making wine, one growing grapes, one doing some supply chaining, and the other working with our family foundation.
So when we came here a few weeks ago, I got another tour again because it had been so long. We got a tour of the beautiful barrel room where you can go in and see the barrels of wine, and it's just majestic. Go in there if you're taking pictures, and there's also underground caves. There's just a lot to see on this property. What do you use this property for mostly, besides tasting wine, of course?
Well, we love having people come visit the winery and the greater Livermore Valley. There's so many things to do and see here, but on this property in particular, we do a wonderful summer concert series. In fact, the first one starting will be in July, and there's 12 of them this summer, so that's a great experience for food and wine. We are, at the end of June, reopening our new wine experience, which is called the Vineyard Table Tasting Lounge, and it's going to be a really fun place to experience great wine and great food and have just a relaxed, sociable way to enjoy wine country, right? Because it's about getting out of town and coming to the vineyards, learning about how wine's made, and so all of those things we do here on property.
All right, well, you have some wine set out for us, and even though it's about 9:30 in the morning, I'm ready, Carolyn. I'm ready.
You're all in.
I'm all in.
Okay.
I'm all in. All right. So can we start here and tell me what you've poured for us?
So traditionally we start with white wines because you go from white to red. So Winty Vineyards is very famous for our Chardonnays. So we selected 2 Chardonnays to start with.
Okay.
One is our Morning Fog Chardonnay that is grown here in the Livermore Valley.
All right.
Stylistically, beautiful ripe apple citrus notes to it, a little bit of oak aging, but a beautifully balanced wine. Then the second is our Riva Ranch Chardonnay, which is an expression of our vineyards from Arroyo Seco down in Monterey County. This is one of the local town favorites, and up and down the 680 corridor. We call it the Riva Ranch Chardonnay.
Pardon my reach. This might be a little
That's
awkward.
Okay.
But I was born awkward. Thank you.
And I'd love to see you tasting at that 9:30 hour. And last but not least is our beautiful Charles Wetmore single vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon. And the Livermore Valley is really historically known for having produced some of the first vines, or clones as we call them, of both Chardonnay and Cabernet. So there's a lot of rich history if you come to visit that you can explore here in the Livermore Valley.
I really like cabs myself, so here we go.
Rich,
wow.
Lush, great deep dark fruit, beautiful structure to it.
It's good.
Perfect, huh?
It's good. It's perfect. And one of the things I want to tell our viewers is that Winty isn't the only game in town. You actually have a lot of friends, as you would call them, friends, just small vineyards here, medium vineyards, and then yourself. So does everyone really know each other and get to know each other? We
do. And, it's been a community that since the 1990s, there were about 10 wineries here in the valley. And since that time, we've grown, and there's over 50. So when you come to the Livermore Valley to visit, there really are a lot of different opportunities to engage with the actual winemakers, the owners, and we all have a great community among us through our Wine Growers Association and just quite honestly being good friends, right?
Yeah, and the last question I'm going to ask you, it's an important one. Have you seen Livermore as a community get more visitors over the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years?
Absolutely. And here on property, we've really noticed the increase. And part of the reason why we encourage people to come is to experience wine country. And we'll get from our Greg Norman Design Golf Course to the concert series to coming to weddings or to enjoying the Vineyard Table and Tasting Lounge. All of those things are different ways to engage and interact with wine. But it's not just always about wine. It's about friends and camaraderie and enjoying the beautiful Livermore Valley.
Carolyn, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming out and bringing the wines. Yes, and it is a beautiful facility. I've seen the golf course that she mentioned. So Mike and Gassia and everyone else there, if you want to come out here, I guarantee you're going to love it. You're going to taste some good wine. And the weather today is just beautiful. So you might want to, even if you're watching at home, you might even come today.
Yeah, why not? If you had to pick real quick, your favorite that you tasted there, Sal?
My favorite that I tasted by far was the Cab. But I'm a Cab guy. That's kind of a, I'm a red wine guy. Nothing wrong with the Shards, but I'm a Cab guy.
Hey, sunny day like this, I'm going to have to go Shard. So we got a Cab, we got a Shard, we got it all. They have it all covered. All right, Sal, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he nailed it, though. Come today, middle of August, things are a little bit warmer out here. It's really sunny.
That's
People
right.
out here at downtown Fountain and Livermore are already fanning themselves, and we haven't even hit the peak of summer yet. So a lot of people come to Livermore for the wineries, yes. A lot of people come for the rodeo this weekend, yes. But did you know that people from all around the world come to see one of Livermore's fire stations? And the fire station itself is nice. I was just
there. Is there something inside?
There is something inside that fire station that is special and known around the world. So let's talk more about that with the leader of the Centennial Bulb Committee. Tom Bramell is up early with us this morning in Livermore. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. It's beautiful, nice and cool out.
Yeah, nice and cool by Livermore standards. Livermore has a distinction for having the longest burning light bulb. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it is the longest continuous burning light bulb. It burns 24/7,
right?
Very quietly hanging from the ceiling, and it was installed in 1901. And we know that because it was donated by the owner of the Livermore Power and Water Company at that time, and his daughter attested to that back in the 80s. It was noted for its longevity back in 1972, and used to hang down in the station right down the street here on the right-hand side.
Right.
And we used to swat it when we were going to
like it was no big deal.
Yeah,
like
it was
no
nothing. Big deal, and we'd swat the hanging light bulb. And it was no big deal, but then we learned about its longevity, and
you stopped smacking it.
Talk about the longevity, because it was created in America, right?
Yep.
In Shelby.
It's a Shelby. It was developed in Shelby, Ohio. Okay. So we know that in 1898 they were determined to be the best lamp in the world, and so the longevity, we weren't really that surprised, right? Except that Shelby went out of business in 1912.
Well, when I put in a light bulb, it usually lasts probably a month or two. I don't know if that's my luck.
Are your kids smacking it?
Smacking it.
There is a story about that, and the reason was back in the 1920s there was the Phoebus cartel, which General Electric and other organizations, Philips, Lights, and they all got together and decided you couldn't have a light bulb to last more than 1,500 hours.
Wow.
And so Shelby had this light bulb that's been going for over 1 million hours in 2015.
More than 1 million hours.
More than millions of hours here already. So it's a pretty amazing light bulb. But folks can actually see it in the station. It's 24/7.
I love it. And there's a guest book that I had the pleasure of looking through. People from all around the world come to see this bulb.
People have been there. I've been talking about this light bulb and showing it since the 70s. And I'll tell you, I can attest to its longevity from that period of time alone.
I love it.
But the I've met people from all around the world. In fact, last year we just did a advertisement for South Africa. So they came and did a whole video on the light bulb.
Putting Livermore on the map.
So did a commercial.
All right, it's a Fire Station 6 out on East Avenue, kind of close to the Livermore Lab.
4550 East Avenue, and it's also on centennialbulb.org on a website.
A live stream. Well, Tom Bramell, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Keep that bulb going.
Absolutely.
Very
Appreciate
good.
it, Tom. Have a great weekend.
All
right, still to come right here from downtown Livermore. Look, firefighters, police officers, they're out there, they're protecting all the residents here in Livermore, they're saving lives, and every now and then, a first responder gets the chance to meet the person who he or she saved. In fact, that happened right here in the city of Livermore. When we return, we're going to go back to KTVU's Claudine Wong as she gives us her hometown hero. Much more from Mornings on 2 to 9, live from downtown Livermore after the break. All right, welcome back to the 9. Claudine Wong joining us now. Nice work with the band. It's good to hear from them.
So great.
As I mentioned at the top of the newscast, you were out here a couple weeks ago doing some stories, and one of them is about a hometown hero.
Yes, really a remarkable story of these two men who met in very frightening circumstances, really a life and death circumstance, and the friendship that has developed since has been really remarkable.
The friendship between these two men
began in a fight for life.
I was on an overtime shift at one of our stations in downtown Livermore, Station 7.
Scott Leathers had headed to this urgent care because he knew something was wrong. During that drive, while talking to his wife, he started to panic.
We talked a little bit, and then it really started getting bad, the chest pains. My arms started aching. I really started sweating, shortness of breath.
And it got to the point where I couldn't understand him. He was out of breath.
Doctors at the urgent care knew Scott was having a heart attack and needed to get to the hospital. They called 911, which means both an ambulance and firefighters respond. And that's when Scott first met firefighter-paramedic Gustavo Trejo.
He was stable. His vital signs were stable.
He was very calm in his voice, and he was trying to keep me calm.
Because he was stable, it would have been routine for Gustavo to let the paramedics take Scott onto the hospital. But that day, he decided to ride along.
It was more of a gut instinct, just the look on his face, seeing a stable set of vital signs, but knowing what could potentially happen.
Halfway into the 8-minute ride, everything changed.
I took a peek over and I saw him starting to posture, and I recognized that he's now going into what we call a ventricular fibrillation, which is a lethal rhythm.
For the next 2 minutes, Trejo and the paramedic fought to save Scott Leathers' life. They did CPR and shocked him, and then, as they were getting ready to put him on a CPR machine, he came back. Scott says the first thing he remembers is Gustavo's voice.
He said, "Scott, stay with me, stay with me." He said, "Look at me, look at me." Sorry. And he said, "Stay with me." And he said, "Don't close your eyes again." And he said, "Do not stop breathing again." And he said, I just remember he's saying, "Your heart just stopped, but I got it going again." And I said, "You did that for me?"
By the time they got to the hospital, he was stable.
And Scott looked at me and said, "I died in the ambulance." And Gustavo brought me back. And that's the point that, it just hit me. And Scott said, Gant, that's our son. And I said, "It's going to be okay." I just tried to reassure him.
It's been more than okay. Scott has made a full recovery and is now enjoying every precious moment of his life.
That was all gone for a brief moment there, and then I got a second chance, so just very thankful.
But the story doesn't end there. A month later, Scott tracked Gustavo down.
We all sat down and we had some water, and he said, "Okay, do you want to know what happened?"
It was emotional and unforgettable. That connection right then and there.
It is a bond that runs deep, with visits to the firehouse, that's Scott's son Gant getting geared up and getting a seat in the engine. And it's a bond that grows as their families get together for playdates and dinners. Things could have been very different. Not everyone gets this happy ending.
I believe if it wasn't him, it may have been a different result.
This call was the call that just made it all worth it.
Because on this call, on that day, a life was saved and a friendship was forged.
So Scott's doing great. He's healthy. Scott's, changed some lifestyle things, and so really just enjoying every moment now.
I'm curious, how much time are they actually spending together?
Actually, quite a bit. They've had extended family come into town and meet, each other, and they've spent so much time together. Their kids are friends. It's really a remarkable friendship they've created.
It's great.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claudine. Livermore people take care of each other. End of story. That's one story you shared with us. Coming up in a second, many, many more stories. We're talking with a Livermore couple who's part of a very important organization. They are brightening up seniors' days, and not just with some delicious food. So we'll talk with them in a minute. Stay with us. Downtown Livermore is alive this Friday morning. Look, if I said downtown Livermore is alive on a Friday night, we know that.
Is it 100 degrees? It kind of feels like 100 degrees.
It may feel like it's 100 degrees.
I believe that's on Sunday, so
Meet me
not quite there yet.
I was going to say, come back here in mid-August, it'll be 107 degrees. So it's a gorgeous morning. We've taken the 9 on the road. It's our very first zip trip, and we're here in gorgeous downtown Livermore at the Downtown Fountain. We talked a minute ago about how people from Livermore help each other out.
Yes.
And that is so true with the couple we're about to meet. I'd like you to join me in welcoming Matt and Emily Stout Garcia and their little 5-year-old daughter, Annalise, to the 9. Thank you for being with us. You guys are volunteers with Meals on Wheels.
That's right.
And you deliver food and care to homebound seniors and others. Tell me, Emily, why you chose Meals on Wheels for your family's mission.
Well, it actually just started with a simple volunteer event making cards, Thanksgiving cards, to go along with the meals. And then after that experience, I looked more into the organization itself and their mission of delivering hot, nutritious meals to homebound seniors. And after that, when I found there was a need in our own community, I was like, we have to do this. So I started volunteering, and then federal funding cuts happened, and so I said, Matt, they need help. Let's go.
Matt, get on board. Annalise, you too. A lot of people, you know, Mike and I were talking about Livermore, and there's a lot that people know about Livermore, and it's an awfully pretty, shiny town. Many people don't realize that there is a need for services such as Meals on Wheels. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, food insecurity is hard to see, and our seniors that are homebound, it's hard for them to meet their care with a hot, nutritious meal all the time. So that's where we come in and fill that gap.
Can you talk about people watching right now, Matt? What can they do at home to help you two and help the organization?
You know, the biggest thing that the organization needs in general is just more volunteers. I mean, we deliver to 14 people on our route. You know, Emily does it on Wednesday, I do it on Friday, the same people. But there's 6 different routes here, there's 6 different routes on Pleasanton. So volunteering is the biggest thing, you know, and financial donations are always appreciated.
But that human connection, of seeing the same pair of eyeballs, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How was your, you know, it's, I imagine that's invaluable.
It is. I actually just had a gentleman that I delivered to a couple weeks ago with Annalise. And she got out of the car and she went over to go knock on his door while I was getting the food out of the car. And, you know, by the time I got up there, he was already talking to her. And I asked him, you know, hey, how are you doing today? And he's like, well, I was having kind of a rough day. But he's like, after talking to her, he's like, I'm doing a whole lot better.
Oh, I love it, this little doll. Well, you know what, Annalise, good luck to you in kindergarten coming up at Jackson Elementary.
Future reporter over there, too.
I think so.
She's doing great holding
She's
that
going to take my
microphone.
job in about 15 years. Thank you so much, Matt and Emily Stout-Garcia.
Thank you
and
both.
Annalise.
Thanks for coming to Livermore.
Thank you for joining us. Like I said, this is just one of the many examples we could give you, as I hope we have been giving you all hour long.
We're going to be out there all summer long doing these zip trips of all the cities out there that we're looking forward to. I'm looking forward to South San Francisco.
South City?
I played football against that high school out there, and it was a good game, and I remember waking up the next morning a little bruised.
Okay.
So I'll never forget South City football.
Okay, we'll find that guy, bring him back. Thanks so much for joining us here in gorgeous downtown Livermore, our very first zip trip.